guys, Mark the Mentor here, back with another video. Real quick video, I want to talk about why during an economic downturn or a recession, same thing, may be or is possibly the best time to start your box trucking business or any business for that matter. So I want to give a quick rundown on why this is a good time. And, you know, I always talk about timing in business is everything, and it is. I actually started my moving company during an economic crunch, during the housing market crash. Unbeknownst to me at that time, I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know, I didn't understand what was going on at that time. It just so happened that I was in a position where I, started something, and the reason why it really worked out well for me is because what was going on. So the timing was right. I didn't know that, when I was starting it, that it was the right time to start it because everyone was losing their homes. But it was just a situation where, unfortunately, other people's, shortcomings was was something that, benefited me in the long run. All right. So first thing I want to talk about would be cheap equipment. All right. During an economic downturn or a recession, you got a lot of people that are going to be exiting the business. All right. A lot of people are going to be exiting the business. So like I said a minute ago, one person's downfall can be your opportunity. It's unfortunate, but at the end of the day, it's business. I've said it before, when you're in business, business doesn't have feelings. Business don't have feelings. When you're in business, you can't go into business, you gotta go into business with a strong mind. All right. You got to go into business with a strong mind. So taking advantages of someone else's, downfalls, you gotta do that. So people are gonna be selling their equipment, selling their trucks, and for cheap, So a lot of people are looking to get into the industry. They're looking on Penske, they're looking on Ryder, they're looking on Enterprise, they're looking on Commercial Truck Trader. You may want to actually look for an independent owner operator who's in a jam, who's selling their truck. You may be able to get a truck for the low with a person like an independent owner operator. If they're in a financial bind at the time, they're going to be looking to get out of that truck for as low as possible because they're going to need that money to, possibly pay their personal bills, their mortgage, their rent, things of that nature. All right. So it's unfortunate, but guys, it's business. That's why I tell you all the time, listen, you got to understand when you're winning. I talked about those 5 stages of growth, those 6 stages of scale. You got to understand when you're in that growth phase. You got to understand when you're in that scale phase. The growth phase, you got to know when it's that takeoff time. And when you know when it's that takeoff time, you got to understand it. And when the going is good, you need to put things into place because it's not going to be that way forever. It's not going to be that way forever. All right. So when you're winning, you got to do what you're supposed to do when the money is coming in. That doesn't mean go out and buy a Bentley. All right. That means pay off your truck, pay things off. So for your business, so that when we go through what we're going through now, you ain't got to worry about paying no truck, no this, that, and the third. People like, why I can sit here and say this comfortably, my trucks I've been paid for years. All right. Grace of God, I got in at the right time. All right. Then we had a president that infused the American economy. And I'm not talking about the stimulus. I'm talking about, 2015, 2016, 2014. Those were really great years. Those were great years, for business owners, especially for me. And then I was coming off those great years. Unfortunately, I was able to capitalize on people losing their homes. You see what I'm saying? Because a lot of people were losing their homes and they needed to move into storage, move back to their parents' homes. And then when Trump came in and kind of turned things around, those people that took those losses, then they had those 4 or 5 years, 6 years to recoup, get back on their feet. And guess what? You had another wave of people moving and getting back out here, buying new homes, buying new condos, and then the freight was up because people were buying furniture and things of that nature. So when the going was good, I understood that, and I did what I was supposed to do. I bought my trucks, I paid them cash. The 2 vehicles that I bought new, I aggressively paid those off. It was a great time to purchase vehicles. They were very minimal. You know what I'm saying? And I took advantage of those situations. I did what I was supposed to do, even with the money that I was making on a personal level. I made sure I invested in property and things of that nature, bought myself a place and everything else, so that when you go through economic downturns like we're going through now, I can be comfortable and be straight and not have to worry. My trucks can sit. My costs are very minimal, and you want to put yourself in that situation too. You want to put yourself in that situation too, because guess what? That Benz, that Bentley, all those trips and things of that nature, those are just memories. Those aren't going to keep them lights on. You know what I'm saying? You can do all that stuff, but you got to know when it's possible to do all that stuff. And when the right time to do all that stuff is once you've paid off everything in your business. All right. Pay off everything in your business. Aggressively pay that stuff off. So once again, when there's an economic downturn, because one happens like every 8 to 12 years, you'll be in a position where, you won't have to worry about things. All right. Another thing is, before I go into that, so taking advantage of, people that are coming out, their equipment, selling it for cheap. Look for those independent guys that are selling those trucks. And you probably can get a truck for the low from an independent guy, even equipment like pallet jacks and things of that nature. You don't have to go onto Harbor Freight and spend $300-400. Find a guy that's getting out of the business, going offer up Facebook Marketplace and buy a used pallet jack for the low. Same thing. All right, let's talk about competition getting weeded out. Competition is going to get weeded out, just like I'm talking about with the equipment. As people are exiting, that's less competition. All right, so even for middle mile, final mile, that's less people you got to compete with in the middle mile for freight. Final mile, less people you got to compete with for routes at these logistics companies. Final mile, you really ain't got to compete like that anyway, because there's less people trying to enter into that lane than the middle mile. But as you come in, it's going to be less people. So those routes, you're going to have access to better routes. When you're coming in the final mile, when you're starting with a new company, the people who are there that have tenure, they're always moving up to get those better routes as people fall off. So, when you're going into a logistics company, you have access probably, or, during an economic downturn, more people are exiting to access better routes. Lessons, valuable lessons. A good thing about entering into a business, box trucking or any business in an economic downturn, is the lessons that you're learning. You're living in the moment as far as learning the business during a bad time. So you get to actually see firsthand where other people, your competitors, are failing, taking those lessons from them, the why they're failing, and then utilizing that knowledge to prevent that for yourself. It's a great time. It's kind of hard to do that when the economy is good and everyone's thriving. You know what I'm saying? Like I like to use last year and earlier this year as an example. Everybody was winning. I wasn't on YouTube then, but when I go back and look at, just thumbnails and titles for the video, it was all numbers. Made 10,000, made this, made that. Wasn't nobody talking about the negative aspects of it. Wasn't nobody saying, what, guys, this is inflation. It's not going to be like this forever. You know what I'm saying? So, valuable lessons. You can learn from other people's, unfortunately, you can learn from other people's mistakes. You can learn from their misfortunes, and you can take that information and apply it and know what not to do, So that's another great thing about entering into this business or any business during an economic downturn. The valuable lessons that you learn that you may not get to see when the economy is strong. Timing, like I said before, timing in business is everything. I think, I'm proof of entering into a business during a bad time. You know what I'm saying? It was a bad time for a lot of people, but I was able to capitalize on it. A lot of big businesses, if you go and research them, if you look when they started during economic collapses. All right. You're going to be able to get, like I said, just to run back down the list, you're going to be able to get a lot of cheap freight. I mean, not a lot of cheap freight. You're going to be able to get a lot of cheap equipment because you're able to capitalize on another person's downfalls. And this is unfortunate. It may sound cruel and shrewd, but you know what? This is business. This ain't personal, because if you go into business personal, with personal feelings and wearing your heart on your sleeve and all emotional and soft and stuff, you're not going to win, because in business, people are vultures. They prey on the weak. You can't be weak in business, especially you guys running middle mile. People will prey on you. Brokers, dispatchers, I'm telling you, I talk to people all the time, and some of the stuff these stories that they tell me, these guys will prey on you, try to take advantage of you. Even in my lane, final mile, these logistics companies, man, they love weak people. They love weak people. You know what I'm saying? They will prey on you. You can't go in there like weak and all emotional and wearing your heart. You got to go in there like a businessman. You got to go in there shrewd, strong. And, just being strong is just having a strong mind in business. So, timing is very important. You can survive and you can make it. And it's probably the best time to start your business when, the economy is bad. I'm going to tell you how you can do it. First, I want to talk to the youth. When you're in your 20s, you know what I'm saying, maybe early 30s, 20s to early 30s, it's a great time, especially like if you're still living at home, you know what I'm saying, where your bills are minimal. You have an advantage over people who are starting late. One, because you're living at home, you have less bills, you have time to make mistakes, you have time to fail, all right? And there's nothing wrong with failing, all right? You don't want to wait till you get mid-30s and later on in life, because it's more critical then. You have less time. So to you guys that are in your 20s, early 30s, take advantage of your youth, start your businesses then. So, you know what I'm saying, you got all the advantages. You got more advantages, all right? You can fail a bunch of times and still have time to figure it out, all right? To everybody else, if you're going to pull this off, all right, if you're going to pull off starting a business, which is a good time to start doing an economic downturn, make sure you got cash flow. You're gonna need some cash flow. All right. The reason why you're gonna need some cash flow is because you may not get it out off the jump. You may enter in correctly. You go get you a truck. You find somebody who's getting out of the business. They're just not having it good. They're failing. They got to pay their bills. They sell you a truck for the low. Let's say 20 grand. The truck is paid for. You get a truck. Let's say 20 grand for good measure. You get the truck for cheap. You listen to me. You don't go Progressive. You get you some fair insurance because your truck is a little bit older. You don't go Progressive. You got everything ready to go. All right. You still got to learn how to maneuver the industry. All right. And there's going to be a learning curve there. You can invest into a mentor and a coach, but obviously that's going to cost money. All right. So make sure you got the cash flow. Don't think you can do it on a whim. All right. Because guess what? A typical trucker can be doing good, and in 3-4 weeks, depending on the economic crunch, can be doing bad. Like that turnaround time, it ain't that long in this game. It's short, 3-4 weeks. 3-4 weeks can make you or break you. You know what I'm saying? So make sure you got some cash flow. Make sure you come into the industry with a business plan. Another thing, a lot of people don't have a plan. The reason why you're not making it or why you're possibly failing is because you don't have a plan. You got to have a plan. All right. You got to have a full plan. All right. An entrance plan and an exit plan. And you got to set times. Like a lot of people don't set times. Like, look, I'm going to try it. I'm going to give myself, let's say 6 months. If I can't figure it out in 6 months, I got to stop it. I got to either do a reset, figure out what I'm doing wrong, or I got to move on and try something else. A lot of people keep going and thinking it's going to change. And in some cases, it may change. But in some cases, it may not. And then now you drained yourself. And now you're out here bad. So if you give yourself time, even you say 6 months, if I can't figure it out in 6 months, I'm gonna stop, reset, go back to the drawing board, maybe get a mentor, maybe get a coach, or go back to the drawing board and do some more research and figure out what I'm doing wrong. That's all a part of having a plan. Set time dates. You know what I'm saying? Don't just go in all willy-nilly and freestyle. You're gonna fail. You're going to fail, especially if you're running the risk of entering in a recession. And when I say risk, anytime you enter in a business, it's a risk. I think, entering in, an economic crunch is good because I've done it before and I'm knowledgeable and tenured that if I were to enter, now I know I wouldn't enter in with a lot of cost. I would enter in as low as possible. Because guess what? As we're seeing now, a lot of people are getting weeded out. You got people getting rid of their trucks, people exiting the business, people turning in their trucks, selling their trucks. Rental truck companies are getting trucks back. You got people selling their equipment on Facebook Marketplace and OfferUp. A lot of people are just saying to hell with it. Even semi-truck drivers are saying, to hell with it. They're just fed up. You know what I'm saying? This is one of those games where only the strong survive, and you will be one of the strong as long as you go into it with a plan. So, make sure you have a strong business plan. Make sure you got some money saved up. You got some cash flow. Make sure your credit is right so you can go out here and purchase you a truck, as these rental truck companies are still, may not be in the best interest for a person entering the game with some of these rates for the truck and for the mile. So that's my spiel. www.boxtruckcourses.com for your one-on-one mentorship with me, Mark the Mentor. Follow me on Instagram. Follow me on Facebook. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button. Hit that notification bell so you can stay up to date with all the upcoming videos every Tuesday night. The Mentors Podcast with me, Mark the Mentor, here on YouTube and Facebook. I'm out.